Vitamin Water Zero Sugar has great taste, zero BS, and obviously zero sugar. For those with zero room in their calendar, zero patience for slow walkers, those who get 0 hours of sleep on a Saturday night, have zero filter, zero given, and zero interest in grabbing a plain, boring water. Grab a delicious Vitamin Water Zero Sugar today.
Raise the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. Start converting your B2B audience today. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started today at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, my name is Damon Friedman, co-founder and president of SOF Missions. As a 20-year veteran within Special Operations, I've gone through many challenges due to my military service and time in combat. We felt called to start SOF Missions to serve our fellow brothers and sisters in arms, focusing on suicide prevention and resiliency. Our mission at SOF Missions is to empower warriors to find purpose and be resilient. Since 2011, when we started the organization, almost 3 million men and women have deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. Unfortunately, the scars of war take a toll on their psychological, physical, social, and spiritual health. Many veterans feel a sense of hopelessness and a loss of purpose when they return to civilian life. They feel isolated and alone, unable to reconnect. And in the greatest of tragedies, over 20 veterans lose all hope and take their own lives. Our goal at SOF Missions is to provide veterans the tools and resources so that they don't become a statistic. We offer a unique approach to combating veteran suicide through a whole health, intradisciplinary model. The Be Resilient program is a 4-pillar methodology that addresses the areas of psychological, physical, social, and spiritual wellness. We provide care through 3 delivery methods: medical clinics, retreats, and educational training. Since we started back in 2011, we have been able to reach veterans in all 50 states and have served over 3,000 veterans through the Be Resilient program. Being resilient is a multifaceted and complex issue. We know that to find a lasting solution, we have to address the whole warrior. Many challenges cannot be solved by providing the treatments and modalities of just one component, but by tackling them all. Now, we've expanded our services to include law enforcement and first responders. Together, we can make a lasting impact in the lives of warriors across the nation. To learn more, visit our website at sofmissions.org.
For your post assignment, all units proceed to your post assignment.
All right. Welcome back.
MisFitNation. MisFitNation. The MisFitNation Show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation Show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_MisFitNation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. Welcome back to the Misfit Nation show. It's your Sunday after dinner edition. It's June 29th. One more day left of June. Can't believe this month has flown by as much as it has. We know you have a lot of choices on a Sunday night on what to do, but thanks for hanging out with us. Tonight, we'll start off with some remembrance of a couple officers. Under Sheriff Brandon Gade, Phillips County Sheriff's Office, Kansas, End of Watch Friday, June 27th, 2025. And Police Officer Kendall Corder, Milwaukee Police Department, Wisconsin. End of Watch today, June 29th, 2025. Both were killed in gunfire. In Officer Gade's instance, the perpetrator was eliminated as well. Please keep their friends, their families, their peers, their communities in your thoughts and prayers as they go through this tough time and a quick, unexpected loss of life as this. They know they have a risk every day when they go to work, but it's not something that their families really want to deal with at the end of the day. Tonight, we have a great guest. He is USMC veteran. He is the founder of Prospect Hill Flag Company. So without further ado, I just want to bring him in here so he can tell his story to the Misfit Nation. Welcome, Joe Stazione.
How you doing, man?
Doing great, brother. How are you?
Good, real good. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, it's great. When Adam sends me someone, I kind of have that big brother complex. You got to have him on there. So I'm bringing you in here, and you're gonna rock the Misfit Nation's world tonight.
Adam was actually my first podcast I ever did.
Oh wow, that's outstanding.
Yeah, we were getting ready for our second year wounded vet run in Phoenix, and we were getting ready to have Madison Rising. We booked Madison Rising right when I think like 2 years after a year after they released the national anthem when they did it. And we booked them at Scottsdale Harley. We had this big ass party and everything. And Adam, and I can't remember the guy's name that he was with, but they had me on their podcast back then.
Nice.
That was pretty legit.
Yeah, Adam's a great dude, and he's doing great things for the veteran community as well as the community at large around the country. He tries to do his best to make the world a better place.
I agree.
So, Joe, I gave basically a sentence about you right there. If you don't mind, tell the Misfit Nation a little bit more about you, from as far back as you want to go to how we got to where we are today.
Well, everything really kind of started going to the Marine Corps. 1999, I went in peacetime completely, didn't really think anything of it. Worked construction as a kid. And I remember one of my dad's operators told me, like, go to college, be an officer. You know, you should do all that. And I'm like, well, I'm going to the Marine Corps. Like, if I'm going to do anything, I mean, it's peacetime right now, but if I'm going to be a part of something, I want to fight, you know?
Right.
And I had a couple football scholarship offers. I had nothing really for anything else but that. And I really wasn't the greatest in my academics. And I ended up blowing out my knee my senior year in high school. And fast tracked me. A buddy of mine was going in the Marine Corps, and he ended up going early. And I told him, I said, before he leaves, I'll have a date. And it was August something. I can't remember exactly what date. So it was the original date. And then I got arrested. And then they told me it was going to be 2 years or 3 years of probation. I got arrested for a stupid senior prank. And it was going to be 2 to 3 years probation, or unless I left, if the judge found out. And I went to high school with the judge's kid and all that stuff back then. So fast tracked me. I was supposed to leave in August, ended up leaving July 26, 1999, Paris Island, and then School of Infantry at Camp Rahoon, Camp Geiger, and then went to Security Force Battalion in Chesapeake, Virginia. And then was given my duty station, Kings Bay, Georgia, is where I started. I was on a sub base in Kings Bay, Georgia. moved through billet quickly. I held as a Lance Corporal, I held a team leader billet. I think I was there like a year and a half. Stood in the alarm control center, allowed access into and out of every single building down there as a Lance Corporal, and was down there during 9/11 when I was actually on post on stood the alarm control center post. I hadn't picked up corporal yet, and 9/11, the morning of 9/11, I'm the one who announced everything to our command, everything that was going on, from weapons control watch of the Navy, upgrade threat cons, everything. And we had every base commander was on our post, big map of Kingsland, St. Mary's, Georgia, was a nuke sub base down there. We didn't know what was next. We had no idea what was going on, shit at the fan. And that was really kind of the start of everything. I was 21, like 20 or 21 when all that happened. And changed my life. I remember, fast forward years later, and I'll get into where I was at and why, but I was standing in a crowd of people honoring a kid. I had been out, this was 2017, honoring a kid that lost both of his legs in a war that started way back in, he was in like kindergarten or first grade when the war started, Yeah. So fast forward from there, went from Kings Bay to Camp Lejeune, 3rd Battalion, 8th Marines. I missed the deployment to Bahrain by like 5 hours. They left. The day I checked in, they left. If I would have checked in the morning, I probably would have been on a plane. I checked in the afternoon as late as I possibly could. Me and my best friend, John Shea, we checked in as late as we could, stayed at a hotel the night before in Jacksonville, and checked in as absolutely late as we could. And because of that, I ended up as a platoon commander, as a corporal for 2nd Platoon, 3rd Battalion, 8th Marines, 2nd Platoon, India Company. And until everybody got back. As soon as everybody got back from Bahrain, we were slated to go to Japan, and I had orders to go play on the All-Marine rugby team. So I didn't even get the whole McCree that we did leading up to our deployment. I was UDP to Fort Leonard Wood playing rugby for the Marine Corps. So my command wasn't very happy with that. And then got out, picked up sergeant right then, went to Japan, war kicked off, watched the beginning of the war on CNN in Fuji, Japan. The day we hit Fuji, the invasion of Baghdad. We watched it on CNN. And bunch of us tried to lap move, tried to deploy. They said our unit wasn't going to deploy. I was supposed to get out July 26th. I ended up getting out October 15th. I'm sorry, October 10th. October 10th, I got out and moved. Because of that, I was stop lost. We got back from Japan. Bunch of us tried to move around. Nobody was letting us move, so everybody just got out. Almost got NJP'd and busted down for getting divorced all at the same time. I was trying to leave. Got out of the Marine Corps, moved to Arizona. Tried to go to college, tried to do that whole thing. All my friends at that point, everybody that I knew and everything that I knew was back in the Marine Corps. And I mean, you've been in, and I'm sure most of the people that listen to this, one of the biggest problems with the transition, they didn't tell you how to be a civilian. I remember, I played on the All-Marine rugby team. I knew I could play rugby for ASU, but I didn't know what it took to get into ASU. That was a big flop. So I ended up playing for club teams, and I ended up jumping back into construction because that's what I knew. I went to college for a semester in between work and construction, pumped concrete. I was a laborer, worked on a rail crew in Phoenix doing a light rail. Did it all on that side, tried working at a gym, tried working at a mortgage company. It wasn't until a very good friend of mine runs Yes Consulting, Dally Yarbrough. I was on his boat and we were just kind of BSing back and forth. We met at the gym. I asked him, man, I was like, what do you do? And he's like, I do construction safety. And I was like, well, how hard is it to get into something like that? And at this point I had tried damn near everything. And I was just, my mind was just in a place where, what was I going to do? I had no idea that I rated any kind of VA stuff. Nobody told me any of that. you get out, you try all these different things to see where you fit in, but you don't fit in anywhere. So he got me all my OSHA certifications, and I ended up going to work for Intel out in Arizona. I worked there for a number of years with a private consulting company, Hewitt Construction, and then back to Intel, and then went into business with my dad, simultaneously starting a motorcycle riding club with a guy that was living with me that I actually found out was a stolen valor case. And I only bring that up, and I won't bring up his name. I don't bring up his story. He ended up passing away, unfortunately. I don't know, 3 years ago now. He took his own life. So I'm not going to go into what happened and all that, but because of that, I had started a motorcycle riding club called the Infidel Nation in Phoenix, and we had no idea what was going on. I had absolutely no clue what was happening. The guy that I started everything with told me that he knew like all this different stuff that he didn't know, and put us in a really bad spot. So when I booted him, I was left to face the music with a lot of Phoenix in the motorcycle community in Phoenix. And I ended up getting pulled over on the side of the road by a Arizona Leatherneck, and stuck his hand out. He said, he's like, man, he's like, tons of respect, Marine, for pulling over. He's like, just be glad you're lucky. Be lucky you weren't the guy on a Red Road King. I'd have just kicked you off your bike and left you in a ditch. Oh, wow. So because of the things that this guy did in the community, and that I didn't know about, I was kind of just left. I'm like, oh, well, I'm either going to stand this thing up with the intentions of helping veterans, or I'm just going to give it up. And I had a couple really loyal friends that I'm still really good friends with today. They stood behind me, and we ended up standing up this club. And I had on my website, I had a page that was dedicated to guys that we ended up calling out, and for stolen valor. And a buddy of mine, the very good friend of mine now, Andy Biggio from Boston, this is how I met him. He messaged my page, and he was like, hey man, there's a guy that's being called out for stolen valor that is riding with your patch on. I was like, yeah. I said, I know. I'm the guy that called him out. He goes, I'm Andy Biggio. I run Boston Wounded Vet Run. I'd like to talk to you about bringing the run out to Phoenix. And Andy came out with Tim Chambers, saluting Marine, and one of his recipients from Boston came out to Arizona, hung out with me and my club for a weekend, and we took him around. That's when we linked up with Scottsdale Harley, and we confirmed our starting point. We found our end point up at I think it was the Roadrunner that we did our first ride to, was up in New River, Arizona. And we picked a recipient, a young man named Mason Steele. He was in country like something like a few hours, and he got hit with IED through the face, blew off half of his face. And we picked this kid, and we started promoting for it. And that's how we kind of made our name in Phoenix as a club, is we just didn't want to be a part of anything except for this. And that ride that year, it was 2014, we raised $11,000 from Mason. And I remember his dad came up to me. It was the pouring rain in Arizona, it was monsoon rain. And his dad came up to me his first week of March. And his dad came up to me after we got to the end point. And he was like, since my son got hit, I haven't seen my son smile, and today all I've seen my son do is smile. And it, like, stuff like that right there completely changes the trajectory of everything you think, right? So started this club, had absolutely no idea what I was doing, with a group of guys that followed me completely blind into a situation, and we host our first event and we kill it. Second year was bigger, third year was bigger, fourth year was bigger. I was there for the first 4. And then I moved here. Our 4th year, we had 1,300 motorcycles. We raised a consistent 20 grand for 3 years. From our second year on was $20,000 that we would physically give to the recipient. We renovated houses with Home Depot. That same guy that we renovated his house, him and his family ended up moving here to Texas. He went through and is now a trainer at the Adaptive Training Foundation here in Texas. He's a single leg amputee, and him and his family just got awarded a home out here. So we did a lot of stuff. We helped a lot of people, and they're still doing it out there. This is their 11th year they're doing the ride. Went to their 10-year last year, so it's pretty good. But they've kept it up. They're giving away somewhere between 15 and 20,000 a year. We used to host some of the biggest parties in the motorcycle community at the time, with a real good friend of ours that I'm still friends with, actually heading to Sturgis with them, Ryan Cruzy with Cruzy Originals. We shared a complex with them, and that was like right around the time that motorcycle stunts were becoming a thing, and they would do all their stunt shows in front of our clubhouse when we would have the parties. So we'd raise 10, 15 grand in a night. Everything rolled back into the ride, and our big night was night before our ride. We'd have barbecue going, stages, them doing stunts out front, 2 full bars, the whole 9 yards, and we should have a good time, raise a bunch of money. Third year, second year we did it, 22 Kill came out from Texas, and I became friends at that point with Jimmy Mack. Still one of my best friends. He's the best man at my wedding. And a couple years later, he talked me into taking an interview with Defenders of Freedom. Great organization. They did financial assistance back then. They do brain health now. Here in Texas, one of the great organizations out there that's raising money to do brain health for TBI and different things for different guys that have been messed up, blown up. Ended up me and the CEO over there, we great friends still. We just didn't see eye to eye at the time with some things. So I ended up getting let go. That's when 22 Kill picked me up. Worked for 22 Kill for 2 years, started their motorcycle program, and then COVID happened. We launched a program that originally, out of the gate, it paid for riding courses for guys all over the country. We would call a Harley dealership. We would talk to a Harley dealership about buying their rate down to $99, and then we would pay for veterans to go through these programs. It turned into JMP Cycle, big parts distributor in the motorcycle community. They caught on to what we were doing, and they raised a bunch of money for us through a roundup campaign once a year, and they ended up putting us on the road at all the rallies, and then we started taking guys out to the rallies with us. So the motorcycle community, the way I always looked at it, it's so camaraderie based, and veterans are the founders of how things are, right? So you go, and I don't know how many people on here, listen to the podcast. I don't know how many of them really ride or have been involved in the motorcycle community, but you go back to the very, very, very beginning of like the rallies and the things and the racing. It was all veterans getting out of the service that started the clubs, that started the trends that have shaped the community into what it is today. I've read and heard stories about, clubs meeting up in the middle of nowhere and just partying for weeks straight, and just the camaraderie and the brotherhood of it. And I felt we could bring that to veterans in a way where we brought them out to the rallies to experience that type of camaraderie and brotherhood. And it was about 4 or 5 groups of people between 22 Kill, and then during COVID, I left 22 Kill and started Throttle Therapy. And Throttle Therapy was nothing but that. It was taking guys out, and we did it a couple of times through that. And then unfortunately, me and my wife put a lot of stock in because of some legal things. I can't really go into detail, but me and my wife put a lot of faith into a company, and we got let go, and we were forced into a position to where I had to give up Throttle and go full-time back into fabricating. When I was in Phoenix, I had mentioned me and my dad started a furniture company. It was a rustic industrial furniture company. So steel, rustic barnwood type stuff, nice finished wood, but mainly fabricated steel. I was going to welding school, and a friend of mine asked me, "Hey, can you make a flag?" Sent me a picture of this torn up flag, and I had nothing to do. We were getting ready to actually do the first one of our rides, and I took a couple pieces of stainless, I put them together, drew out a nice flag. Didn't really like it, tore it up, kind of like looking at the picture of what this guy had, but I didn't really like what he had. I bent mine up and cut everything by hand, heated it because I didn't have any paint at school, and then hung it and advertised it when we did the ride. And I sold about 25 of them right off the bat. So I took that side of my business out here and the flag side of it. And I was working in the back of 22 Kill when I first moved here. 9 years, July 4th will be 9 years I've been here. And they gave me a shop in the back garage space. And they came to me one day and they said, "Hey, we're doing a fundraiser. Do something you've never done before." And I ended up, you can see them behind me, and then this is what I created for them. But it was just painted stars. It wasn't anything crazy. I didn't know really what to do, and it's evolved since then. These are all steel stars that are on here. It's 2-inch frame, custom made backers that hang them or put them on a shelf real nice. I did one of these or a set of these for them, and then my frame flags like you posted on the Instagram page. I did a couple of those for them, and things kind of took off in that side of the community, and through fundraisers and stuff like that. A lot of people buy these, a lot of people buy those other ones, and still to this day do. 21 right after COVID was my last orders, and I reopened the company as of a year and a half ago, and jumped into the artwork side of stuff. So I know you looked on, more than likely looked through my Instagram and stuff like that. The all the artwork, all the paint, started doing that in 20, built up a lot of different things since then, and with a paint coach and some other friends that have helped me out, and combined the two between the steel and custom paint work. So that's where I'm at now.
That's an amazing journey. Knowing the ride you took to get into the Corps first, to go through senior prank, getting in trouble, then getting hurt, senior prank, getting in trouble, then still having the tenacity to go into the Corps and not wanting to be outside of the gun in the Corps. You wind up going to infantry 0311 and security forces, and then you wind up in Kings Bay. I've been there. I was there probably just before you went there. Actually, I was stationed in Georgia from 95 to 93 to 95. So I went down there probably about 94, 95. By accident, we drove down there, went to a beach down there, and then wound up close to there. I was like, "Oh, there's submarines in Georgia. This is crazy." And then we went back to Fort Stewart. But I've had a couple of motorcycle guys on here from CVMA, Combat Vet Motorcycle Association. Great dudes, and I didn't realize how many of my friends were in that organization and at that association. It's amazing how many are in it, and I didn't know it at all. I just know that they rode bikes, but they all have that patch. So there's a lot of people, like you said, in the audience that do ride. Frank the Myth jumped in, said he used to ride, but then he started going through a lot of stop signs, so he decided to stop. That's probably a safe thing to do right there. And I was looking, like you said, I looked at your art on Instagram and Facebook. I've seen your art pictures on there. I was trying to find as much as I could on you. There's not a lot on you personally. There's a lot of your stuff on there on Instagram and Facebook. So I was trying to grasp at straws to try to find things on you. So thankfully, you told your story in depth, and the audience was able to get a lot about your life in there and where you are now and what you've gone through and what you do for the community, not just the veteran community, but the entire community. Because when you have a bike club and things are coming together, it's not just about the veterans in the bike club. The whole community of bikers come together because it's like one big family that they all come do things together. If one bike club has a problem, all the bike clubs come together to try to help that bike family come up and raise up. So it's one huge community. And I'm grateful to have guys like you that step up and do that stuff.
It's funny you mention it like that, because I'll tell you a quick story. A friend of mine recently, she posted something. I said, it was something like the real flex is about all the people that you help. And I messaged her. I was like, yeah, the real flex though is the people that you help and nobody talks about. And I got a handful of stories that I keep with me that drove me through the hard times and I'm sure you've heard, or if you've been involved with any kind of nonprofit, it's no fun. It's no fun. I have one now that I do all my work for. I help out a bunch, but Valor Mission Project is the only one I even do anything with anymore. And I don't personally have any stake in anything anymore. I couldn't do it. It has a shelf life for people that say that they can continue to do this mission, or on the suicide side and all the things. Like, since I've been in Texas, I've been to more funerals than I can count, and it sucks. But I was here for 6 months, and I was reading my best friend's eulogy in front of 1,000 people in a church, and it sucked. It was the worst day of my life. But that type of stuff is a shelf life, and that's why I gave it up. But the getting into the way that we did with all of it, with the motorcycle community, and being around, like, just like you said, it's a big family, right? We're in Myrtle Beach, and I had a guy come up to me, and he came to our booth. It was during the day. We're at Suck Bang Blow, biggest bar in Myrtle Beach, and it's absolute insanity at this place all day long, all night long. And he comes up to the front, and he's like, "Man," he goes, "I'd love to come to the concert tonight, but I'm nervous around crowds." And he starts telling me a story, and I sat with this guy. I talked to him for about 2.5 hours. Told me everything about it, like all the things he went through with combat, and his issues getting out, and all this different stuff. He's having problems getting his rating with the VA, and this, that, and the other thing. And he's like, "Man," he goes, "I don't know if I want to come tonight." I said, "Do me a favor." I said, "Come tonight." I said, "Grab me when you get here, and when I get on stage," I said, I'm gonna talk about something, and you'll understand." And he goes, "All right, Joe." He goes, "All right, I'll do that." And he came, and he showed me, as soon as he got there, he grabbed me. He's like, "Hey, man, I'm here." Like, "All right, man." I said, "We're getting ready to go on stage." And then one of my really good friends, Jack Shett, it's actually his name. He's a MC in the motorcycle community. He married me and my wife. I've known this guy for years. He used to MC our ride. He was MCing at Suck Bang Blow, so he would have us up on stage, be able to promote Throttle Therapy. And I get up there, and there's 1,000 people, 1,500 people packed in the back of this bar. I can't remember what band was playing. It was one of the first nights. It was unbelievable. At this time, this was the biggest crowd I had been in front of until I got on the stage with Buffalo Chip and Sturgis. So I'm standing there, and I'm like, "Oh my God." And I get up there, and I said, I was talking to somebody earlier today, and they said that, if you're nervous, picture everybody naked. And I looked out at the crowd, and I was like, "But some of y'all I don't want to see naked." And everybody starts laughing, and I said, "But why would I be nervous up here?" I said, "This is my family. This is my family right here. We come together, and we all try to make memories on two wheels. That's the best part of this community. Is the guy next to you, and the guy right to you, and the people around you, and their families, and their wives, and their girlfriends, and their kids, and all this stuff." I said, "We're just all trying to make memories on two wheels, and we're just a big family." And they went crazy. Everybody went nuts. And I come off stage, and that guy's standing there. He goes, "You're right." He goes, "We're all family." He goes, "I have no reason to be nervous here." And every single year he goes to Myrtle Beach, he goes to Suck Bang Blow, he messages me, hey, Stas, you coming? Hey, man, you going to be in Myrtle Beach this year?" Every single year since that. That was, I think, 4 years ago I had that conversation with him. So, motorcycle community, ultimately it saved my life. It gave me a place where, like I said, I've worked companies, jobs, different things all over Arizona. I tried to go contract, overseas. I tried to do everything I could possibly do to get back into a place of brotherhood and find something that I can attach myself to, and nothing worked. Played rugby for years, played rugby all over the world, and it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same thing. It's the same camaraderie we had when we were in the Marine Corps. So finding the motorcycle community and being in a place where if you needed help, people were there to help you. And that was a real thing. That's where I met my wife. That's where I met my best friends and people that have helped me along my way and along my journey.
Definitely. And I think you hit the nail on the head earlier when you said when the guys came home from like the World War II dudes, they looked for things to do. And that's when the Hells Angels came about. That's when I think the Mongols came about not long after that. And when they first started, they weren't, I guess, what they're known for now, but they were just groups of guys that rode together, and then became other things. And now they still ride together, but they do other things. But that built that brotherhood that they lost after being young guys, 18 years old, going to combat and coming back and not know what to do with their hands because they don't know next to them what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And that's
the truth.
That's how it started.
It definitely is. I've had great times. Like we used to open the garage up in Phoenix when we first started the club. We'd have all of our parties at our house, my house. I had a 3-car garage, and I'd have 80 people at my house on a Friday and Saturday, and my whole entire driveway would be packed full of motorcycles from all over the place. And it was just getting things rolling. But it was, I think we were with Throttle our second year touring around, and we had an idea to host a rally. Like there's one in Tennessee. It's called Tennessee Country Music Revival. It's at Hurricane Mills, at Loretta Lynn's Ranch. Absolutely beautiful piece of property. One of the best rallies I've ever been to in my life. I was really, really stoned, and I may or may not have eaten some mushrooms the first night we were there. And it was about 4 o'clock in the morning, and one bar on the river was still open. And this guy came up to me and offered me a plate of s'mores. And I looked at my buddy and I said, man, I said, I don't know where between Myrtle Beach we died, between here and Myrtle Beach we died, but this has got to be what heaven is. A little bonfire, dudes with one-man band singing, and some of the most beautiful choppers you've ever seen in your life, and then just this river running through it. But we had that was awesome, like campground, like grassroots rally. And so we had an idea. Why don't we do something that's completely out of the box and host something that there's no social media on it, there's no anything on it, you can't find anything about it, it's all invite only. So for a year we rode around with business cards that had latitude, longitude, and a date and a QR code.
Nice.
And it said Promised Land MX, and it was called the Promised Land Jam. And we handed them out. We meet people all over the country, right? We'd be at Milwaukee, Sturgis, Myrtle Beach, Daytona, Galveston. Like, we went to all the big rallies all over the country for 2 years. So everywhere we went, we found cool people. We'd meet vets, come up to our booth. It's like, hey man, how much do you ride? It's like, oh, I really ride. Like, yeah. How much do you ride though? Where'd you come from? You know, we'd be in Myrtle Beach. It's like, oh man, I came from Arizona. It's like, man, you ride. All right, cool. Like, would you come to this? And I'd tell them the story. Oh yeah, man. Yeah. We gave out, I think, 3,000 business cards that year.
Wow.
And we had probably, I mean, this was in Maryland. It was in Old Town, Maryland, is where Promised Land is at. It's right on the Potomac. Like, his property runs right on the Potomac, at a full motocross track and full RV hookups, all that different stuff. And we probably had 500 people out there the first year. And wow, it was crazy. But it was cool to see how it traveled, the word of mouth, how it traveled, because you meet people and you go to give them a business card and they be like, you're that dude. I heard about you. I heard about you, man. I saw the sticker at the gas station on the way here. It's like, all right, man, where'd you ride from? Oh man, we came from Ohio. Yeah, we were up there a little bit ago. That's probably, you rode good, come to this thing. And we give them business cards from all over the country. But yeah, that was a fun time.
Outstanding. Got a couple questions from the audience in here. Lost it. Here it is. Eric B. Raheem. You've worn many hats: Marine, welder, nonprofit leader, artist. Looking back, which job or role taught you the most about yourself and why?
The motorcycle community, the nonprofit side of the motorcycle community. Like I said, like, number one, I didn't talk. I wasn't somebody who would get in front of a crowd. High school, all that stuff, I just wasn't that guy. And when I started the club in Phoenix, I didn't have a choice. None of the other guys were that guy either. So I was the president and founder of the club. So if somebody was going to get up and talk about something, that had to be me. So the first vet run we had, Andy Biggio, he was there, the founder from Boston. He's like, you got to say something. I was like, I don't know what to say, man. I think I have no idea what I'm talking about here. This is ridiculous. Well, it carried on from there. And when I moved to Texas, I was here for 6 months. Moved here in July. I was beginning of January. Very good friend of mine and club member. He passed away. He killed himself. Stephen Jackal. He's a very good friend of ours. Still missed today, but double amputee. He was in an AAV and it hit an IED and blew the bottom out of it. And when he woke up, there were 50 cal rounds cooking off inside of it. And he put the fire out with his legs. Both of his legs were completely shattered. Wow. He said, I put the fire out and I put tourniquets on and I made amends with God and I started patching guys up. And I didn't know what else to do. And he stood up on his busted legs and opened the door because the hydraulics on the hatch broke. and he opened the door for everybody, saved everybody else's life in there. And he passed away. It was January of that first year I was here. And same thing here is nobody knew what to say. Nobody knew what to do. And a representative from my club had to speak at the funeral, and it ended up being me. And then it went on, and then I got on stages, and in the motorcycle community, it taught me, like I said, that they're a family. It's something that's a place where I found my peace in miles on the road. And it didn't just teach me, it taught me a lot about people. You learn who to trust, who not to trust. And trust me, I've put my trust in a lot of people that I shouldn't have. But I take people at face value, and I wear my heart on my sleeve in a lot of cases. And it's showed me the things I shouldn't do, but I still do because I care. And sometimes it really sucks, but it's also shown me how tough you can be.
Yeah.
And how resilient you can be. And like when I was starting everything up in Phoenix, I didn't know any better. I had a sergeant at arms who was a very, very, very large individual, but I never took him anywhere with me. And when we were coming up and we didn't know what to do, you get checked a lot. And I just decided that it was either going to be shut down or be a man. And I went into every single situation almost by myself. And it was an individual that I met in the motorcycle community, that this Bumblebee guy, who's a very good friend of mine still today. He's tattooed from head to toe. And he hired me on for a welding job up in Flagstaff, and we were coming back. And I asked him, I said, Dan, I said, you have tattoos literally on your forehead. I said, what's the deal with the Bumblebee? Because he had Marine Corps tattoo here on his neck. He had, he had Jesus Christ on the crown of his head. He had the justice scales on the back. So he had all kinds of tattoos everywhere. And he's got this Bumblebee on his wrist. And he goes, man, Joe, he goes, when I first got out of the Marine Corps, he goes, I was working at Home Depot, and there was a kid at Home Depot that would bring in these awesome tattoo drawings. He wanted to be a tattoo artist. And he goes, in my fashion, Dan was a hothead. He's like, in good old Dano fashion, he goes, I quit. And when I quit, I looked at the kid and I told him, he goes, if you want to be a tattoo artist, go be a fucking tattoo artist. He goes, don't talk about it, be about it. And 2 years later, he's like, I'm walking down the beach in either Santa Monica or Venice. And he goes, I felt like getting a tattoo, and I walked into a tattoo shop, and this kid's in there tattooing. So he goes, I got this Bumblebee. So don't talk about it, be about it. And the motorcycle community taught me that it doesn't matter if I'm sitting here and it's just me and you talking, or if I'm live and 15 million people are listening to me. Once it comes out of my mouth, it's in the air.
Right.
So you're only as good as your word. You're only as good as who you are in your heart. And that is one of the biggest lessons that the motorcycle community has always been true to, is if you're a man of your word, that's what you have. You have that first, and that's it. And that has transitioned into a lot of hardship for me, but also a lot of reward. Ridden hundreds of thousands of miles, literally all over this country. Seen some of the most beautiful sights I've ever seen. Met some of the greatest people I've ever met. Had some amazing conversations with old men at the gas station, and it's taught me a lot about life, man. Like, it doesn't matter what you have. It doesn't matter if you have $1 billion or if you're struggling flag to flag. You can't take anything with you. Exactly. You know what I mean? You can't take any of it with you. And like, what do you have right now? It's what you surround yourself with and who you surround yourself with. I love making art. That's where, after all the shit, after all the jobs I've worked, I can talk for another 2 hours on just motorcycle club stories and places and things that I've done. All the people, all the heartache and heartbreak. Art is one thing that has pulled me through. Art and motorcycles has pulled me through and got me to now.
Wow.
45 years old, and I'm an artist. I'm a struggling artist. If you'd asked me in 2003 when I got out, hey man, what are you going to be? Not an artist, I can tell you that. But yeah, here I am years later, and
Every artist you ask will tell you they're a struggling artist.
Yeah.
I think that's the mantra, because you work to eat, basically, if that's your thing, and you work because it's your passion, and you put your whole passion into the piece you're making in hopes that someone else will like it, or just for you to like it. And then if someone comes in and likes it, that's a bonus prop. So,
Oh, for sure.
That's something that's always going to be on the mind of the artist. You mentioned Loretta Lynn's Dude Ranch. That's like less than 45 minutes from my house. So,
Okay.
yeah, so I'm right up north and east of it, basically. So it's a pretty awesome area.
If you ride, that is an experience that you should definitely partake in. Even if you don't, you can get a tent out there and camp out there for the week. It was like progressively more famous talent. It was Tim Montana and ZZ Top. One of the guys from ZZ Top. The last night we were there, and then Tim Montana was the guy playing acoustic down at the little bar, and everybody was tripping mushrooms, and the bonfire was the size of my fucking truck. You know what I mean? It was unbelievable. So if you're in that area, you should definitely check that out.
Outstanding. Got another question from the audience. This is from Alex and them. You helped build the biggest veteran ride in Arizona. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced in growing that event, and how did you overcome them? Thanks, Alex.
Phoenix Wounded Vet Run, yes, it was the biggest ride. It was the biggest veteran ride in the state for a long time. I think it still is. Like I said, our biggest ride, we had 1,350 riders, I think it was. The total we raised was $40,000 that year. We gave 20 of it away. The rest of it rolled or went to expense. I mean, you guys know how that goes. We had a lot of challenges. Our first year, we were still coming out of a rut with building a name for our club. And Andy Biggio from Boston, he had never given the ride. First of all, he had never done a ride outside of Boston. The way Boston started was the guy came into his Legion post, his son got blown up and went from a 20-year-old functional kid to the mentality of like a 12-year-old because of the brain injury. And he spent his life savings, had to sell his motorcycle, like second mortgage their house, and a whole bunch of different stuff. And just to help this kid come home. So Andy ended up hosting this ride. It was Vinny's ride. And they ended up paying the family back, bought his dad a Harley, like all this different stuff. And that's how that whole thing started. Well, he had never done anything outside of Boston. And one place tried, but they didn't do very well. And he was like, man, he goes, I really don't know what to do. And I've never had a club do it. So the way that we ran it was, it didn't matter if it was club merch, like support Infidel Nation, or if it was ride merch, it all went to the club. I'm sorry, it all went to the ride. If it was a party we hosted at our clubhouse, it all went to the ride. And I mean, we hosted our meetings at the clubhouse and we took advantage of it as far as that went. But everything we did all went to the ride, all went to the event. We were always raising money. It didn't matter where we were set up. It was all raising money for the event. From the 2 months after the event start, like we hosted it, until the event, that's all we did. So the first year we did it, we didn't know what we were doing. Just like with the club, we were still figuring out getting our feet. And I remember a buddy of mine, kid that was living with me, Danny, he goes, all right, he goes, screw it, I'm taking you up to Cave Creek. And I walked up to two Hells Angels at the time, and like one looked at me, the president looked at me, and he goes, let me guess, you want to start a club? I was like, no. I said, I introduced myself. I said, and I was up there with like 5 of my guys and my buddy Danny. I was like, look, man, I said, we already did. We just hosted an event a couple weeks ago, and we raised $12,000, $11,000 for a local combat wounded vet. He goes, you're Infidel Nation. He goes, you're the guys that just hosted that big ride. I was like, yeah. He goes, I'd never shut you guys down. He goes, I know all about you. He goes, do what you want to do. So from then on, it was show people we could exist. Because when we were starting the club, we were told by everybody, why don't you just join this club? Why don't you just join this club? You should just do this. You should do this. You should. And I was like, well, no. None of the agendas that I had been present to or been presented to me, nothing fit what I wanted. I wanted to help guys in a way that nobody else is helping guys. So we set a tone and did what we did, and people came. You know, I hate to say this because it sounds so cliche and stupid, but if you build it, they will come. I remember our third year when all the clubs in Arizona came to our event. Ryan, the guy who runs Cruzy Originals, he was an old club guy as well. And not at the time, but like everybody knew who Ryan was. He worked on all the club guys' bikes. And we were in this compound, and all of a sudden, angels roll in. And then the next club rolls in, and the next club rolls in, and the next club rolls in. And next thing you know, we've got 850 people packed into this compound raising money for a club that everybody said wasn't going to exist longer than a year. And now they're 11 years down the road. So it was a lot of different things and a lot of different hurdles that we had to battle. But in a nonprofit community, I'm gonna put it like this: in a nonprofit community, you could be squeaky clean, and somebody can make something up about you, and your whole ship sinks. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you can prove. It doesn't matter any of it. So you stay as true to your mission as you possibly can. You raise as much money as you possibly can in a small window that you have to raise it in, and you figure it out. If you have a hurdle, you call somebody that you know. You call me. You call, Rick. You call Adam. I don't know how many times I've bounced things off of Adam, but beating the big challenges, I had the team to figure it out. I had teams with 22 Kill. I had teams with Throttle Therapy, the Wounded Vet Run. We had people that we can go to all over the place, to help. And the more and more that we stuck to what we said, I have a really, really good friend of mine to this day, Shelly Martin. She was the event coordinator for Scottsdale Harley when we did our first ride. We walked in the door, and I went up to this lady. I was standing in front of Bob Parsons' motorcycle. It was all painted with Marine Corps everything. Had the Gatling gun, back spinning exhaust. It had his wife as a pinup and dress blues on the tank, ribbon stack, all this stuff. And I asked the sales lady, I said, "Whose bike is this?" And she goes, "That's Bob Parsons' bike." I said, "Who's Bob Parsons?" She was the owner of the dealership, the owner of GoDaddy. And I'm looking at this motorcycle, and it's Purple Heart, Vietnam. I'm like, how did a Lance Corporal or PFC in Vietnam, Purple Heart recipient, how did he go from that to being a billionaire? I said, "I want to talk to your event coordinator right now." Brings down Shelly and general manager at the time named Bill. I said, "I want to host the ride here, and it's going to be the biggest thing in the veteran community that the motorcycle community has ever seen for veterans." And they both kind of looked at each other, because Shelly at the time hosted and still does. I think it was last year or her last year. It was Peace Out Prostate Cancer and Bikers for Boobies in Arizona. And they're two of the biggest events in the entire state, period, in the entire state. And she's like, yeah, okay. And we pulled this thing pretty much out of our ass. We had 150 riders in the pouring rain our first year.
Wow.
And then it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. So sticking to what you believe in, but make sure what you believe in is the right thing too. You know what I mean? Like the hurdles that you face in the nonprofit side are a lot different than the hurdles that you face in the motorcycle community. And when you put those two things together and you start mixing those two, depending on the states and stuff like that. So I know I'm skirting this question, but I don't know what state you're in. I don't know what problems you're facing. So this is just kind of like a broad spectrum trying to answer that. It all depends on a lot of things and a lot of variable factors. When we were doing 22 Kill and Throttle Therapy, I rode with the American Infidels, and we were a national club, and I had zero issues everywhere. But I also presented myself in the same fashion that I did back in the day. So if there was a conversation to be had, or if I had to introduce myself to somebody, but I also was able to separate church from state. If I was going to a rally, I didn't represent anything but Throttle Therapy or 22 Kill. That's what I did. If I rode there, different story. But if I was there at that event, I was at that event for a week, I represented the organization that I represented. I wouldn't lie. I couldn't lie. I got the tattoo on my hand. So like people know that that's not just a thing, you know what I mean? Just a symbol. It's got to belong to something. So people would ask questions, and you answer the questions correctly. But being upfront and being forward in both the motorcycle community and the veteran community, like the nonprofit space, just be 100% real with everybody. Be truthful. Don't lie. Don't try and scam the system. every nonprofit starts out with the purest intentions until money starts to get involved. When big money starts to get involved, 90% of these big nonprofits start to take a turn. And I've met very, very few that stick to their guns with it. So just be real.
Very few stick with their values when money comes involved too. They change
Mhm.
on a dime, and it's heartbreaking to see
Yeah.
others do it. But we both have seen it, obviously, and I don't want to be the disgruntled guy here because this is a good show. So
No. You're 100%. 100%.
We talked about a lot of things, and I want to hit your art real quick before we start wrapping up. What's your favorite piece that you've made?
Holy smokes. The Dixon Flannel Company piece was on a whim, and that was a fluke. I knew Danny from back in the day, and when he was working at Scottsdale Harley, I was doing the rides, like first couple rides, and I decided I got one of the flannels. Me and my roommate both got all these different, especially the red, white, and blue ones. And I looked at the tag because I told Danny, I said, I want to do your logo at some point. And I looked at the tag because none of his other logos really, they were boring as far as I was concerned. And I looked at this tag, I was like, told my roommate, I was like, hey, we're making this. And it was during COVID. So that was a cool one. It was a full, if you go on to Instagram, it's down there a little ways, but did a full 3.5 foot tall tag from a Dixon flannel. That was a fun one. I've done the Medal of Honor. I want to do the Medal of Honor again though, because back then I had a friend of mine, one of the guys that worked at 22 Kill, Don. He engraved everything. The laser engraved it. Now I've done so many things that are 3D and sculpted. I would really love to do them again. Man, my favorite though, I don't know. Some of these ones I'm doing now, these Mona Lisas that I've done, are really fun. The paint, I use a lot of flake paint, like old chopper style, pinstripe, airbrush, silver and gold leaf. Those are a blast to do. I'm getting ready to do 7 Virgin Marys in the next probably year with custom rosaries. For each one, will have a different rosary. Each one will be a different Bible verse. Each one will be different paint. Flags are awesome. The big flags. I did I would say one of my favorite pieces of all time was the bent, like waving flag that I did. That was all out of 1/8-inch stainless steel.
Wow.
So all the stripes on my big frame flags, all the stripes, it's 1/8-inch stainless, painted, and I use automotive clear coat on it, and I have 1/8-inch stars, like just like on here. These, like the stars that are on here, they're all laser cut. All the stripes are all ground. They fit into a frame. I have 2 different sizes. The big ones weigh about 150 pounds. The small ones weigh about 52. I've done a big one and a small one where I've welded the stripes together, heated it, and physically bent it so it looked like it was flowing. Heated the feel of the stars so it warped and distorted, and then welded it into a frame. I've done one big one, one small one, and those are really, really cool. Those are also on the Instagram someplace. One of the big flag pictures, but those are really cool.
Awesome. And are those the 2 best places to get in contact with you if someone wants to either have you on the show, their show, or maybe get some product made? Is that the best places?
Yeah, right now, either Instagram or Facebook on Prospect Hill Flag Co. You can also email me at Staz, STAZ, at veteran.me. So Staz at veteran.me. And I answer all those emails. Anything from laser work. I just got this big laser that I'm learning now, to metal fabrication, custom sign work. Right now I'm working on, I've got 6 flags I'm doing right now, 6 frame flags. So if somebody's interested in one, I do have a couple that are for sale. I'm doing a Caterpillar logo, like Caterpillar equipment.
Right.
A friend of mine just opened his counseling office, so I'm making his company sign, and then I'm doing a piece for a ranch, a custom piece for a ranch, and then after this I'll be starting those Virgin Marys.
Nice. You're staying busy and doing great things. Staz, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Before I let you go, there's a question I ask for every guest before they leave. What's 3 things the Misfit Nation can do starting tomorrow to be better humans?
Oh my goodness. You're not special. Realize you're not special. Be nice to everybody. You know, I have so many times people are like, oh, I can't believe you talked to this guy. I can't believe you talked to that guy. Well, that guy or this guy didn't do anything to me. And until that happens, like I always tell everybody, I give my friends all the rope in the world. If you're my friend, like my true friend, and you hang yourself with that rope, that's your own damn fault.
On you. Yep.
You know, be a good human being. You know, that's the biggest thing. I would say all 3 is just be a good human being. You don't have to donate millions of dollars to things. You don't have to even be a part of things. But if you see somebody that needs help, help. You know, just be good to each other. All this shit that goes on in the world, you're not special. Like I said, you can't take it with you.
Exactly.
So if you're the guy listening to this that does have the billions of dollars, buy some of my flags, man. I need you to buy some of my flags. No, if you're that guy, like, come down here, man. It's pretty fucking cool where we live. You know what I mean? We ride motorcycles, build some cool stuff. So just be a good human being.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for hanging out tonight. And this has been a great chat. I hope nothing but the best for you in the future.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much for having me on.
Misfit Nation, remember Tuesday night, the crew will have Heather Shreve on the show. And always remember that a day tomorrow with you is better than a day without you. So if you find yourself going towards that darkness, just stop. Dial 988. If that isn't what you want to do, contact one of us. We will get back with you. We will talk you off that rope and bring you into the light. So next time, be hungry, stay humble, and keep hustling.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.